light.
We don't have a light.
What about that light? Wait, I'll do it. You don't need to get up. You're in. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, everybody. It's a little dark right now. We're waiting for the lights to come. Oh my goodness.
Does that work?
No, but it's good enough.
It doesn't work? Oh, that works.
My eyes are actually open. They don't look like they are.
I just got out the shower, y'all. You want to call it a shower. Good morning. Welcome to our random coffee chat with Tim and Amber Bradshaw. We're two of the five Bradshaw family members that left the city and moved off-grid in the mountains of East Tennessee in 2018, and we're still kicking.
Yeah, we're living the dream, man.
We are, actually. Were you being facetious?
No.
Okay, yeah. No, we are. Anyways, good morning. We had 3, we lost 2, now we're here. Good morning, everybody. How are y'all? Linda said good morning.
Good morning, Linda.
Linda, not Lyndon. Don't be a part of this, Lyndon. You get upstairs and stay ready for church. Anyways, if you can hear our roosters in the background, everybody's up and bright except for us. You're actually up a little bit earlier before live this morning.
I am.
Are you liking leaving for Sunday school at 9 and getting an earlier start?
Well, it's always good to get an early start.
Especially
when you have so much to do.
Yeah, I can't stand sleeping in.
Because it seems like...
Hang on, y'all. I literally just got the shower, so hang on. Go ahead.
It seems like we're always behind on something.
When you get up late? Or
get up early.
Oh, no. Yeah, it does feel like we're chasing our tail. So anyways, I was talking to our friend Kia. Was I asking you about her the other day? I just thought about her. She lives over in Denmark. And it's amazing, y'all, to see somebody that has a homesteading dream and it comes to fruition. And watching them stress and struggle and have faith and then achieve it and then do the whole cycle over again. You don't see it in your own life. You never do. But to see it, you can easily recognize it in other people's. And we can be from a distance. Good morning, Carl. How are you? I just got glasses on. Just say good morning, Carl. Carl. Good morning.
Good morning.
But to see, you can see it in somebody else, and it's amazing too, because you're a part of their life when they're like struggling and they're praying for something and wanting it. And I remember when P and her husband were living in an apartment, and all they wanted, I just want my own homestead. And I'm like, be patient. God is working. Have faith. Trust in Him. You said all these words to me when we were back in Polly's and wanted to move to the mountains. Remember?
I told you to do that.
He said it's not time yet. And I'm like, where is it time? And I was stomping my feet. And then he said, I just don't know when it's going to be time. Good morning, Benjamin. He just said, God's given me peace. And he said, when it happens, it'll happen. And he told me it's not time yet. I'm like, what did he tell me it's not time? Because I was ready, y'all. I've been doing the coastal homestead thing for over a decade. Well, pretty much my whole 20-something years. With gardening and growing food and raising animals and all that. And I was ready for the bigger picture. I'd done my time. I think I even said those words to you. Like, I've done my time. I'm ready. I want mine. I've worked hard. And when he told me that God told him it wasn't time yet, I'm like, well, why didn't God tell me? I've been a Christian longer than you have. I was daft.
Well, it all worked out. And it took a little while. But
this is where I know God started working on my heart. I'm not a patient person.
I've never been a patient person either. But there are times in your life where when God has control, He reveals that to you, and you sit back and you watch Him work, and that's all a part of building your faith. And it was a big step for me because. I'm sitting there saying, I will never leave the beach. I'm a surfer. I've been on the water all my life, and I will never leave it.
Never say never.
And then, God comes along. He says,
I got a better plan.
It's time to move on.
I have a better plan.
she was like, oh, okay.
But that's when I was saying God started working patience in my life. Because if you're a homesteader of any scale, small, big, doesn't matter, it teaches you patience. And you can have a plan, and then God has other plans, or life has other plans, and you have to be adaptable. But if you don't have patience, you're never, ever, ever going to make it in this life. Because, I mean, even growing food, or dealing with livestock, or dealing with a troubled animal, or dealing with land that has some type of bacterial issue in the soil, or whatever the case may be, or say you're in, like we were, you're in a smaller living environment, whether it be a apartment like Pia and her husband, or just a home that you're renting, and you're desperate to have that bigger land, that homestead, something that's all yours, and you feel like you can't do anything until that happens. Be patient. If God's not opening those doors, and it seems like every door that you come to either slammed in your face or it's a struggle, be patient. It's not your time yet. And it's easy for me to say now because I've seen myself go through this, and I've seen myself being patient. And every time I put my hands in there, like put my hands in the situation, and I'm like, I got this. I'm a strong woman. I've done all my own businesses. Now I'm farting with my mouth because I mess up my own plans, Lyndon. Stop. She's always wanting to be a part of the conversation when she's not a part of the conversation. And you mess it up. And God might not be, waiting on you to be ready. He might be waiting on all the other pieces to fall in line.
Yeah.
And now, it's like I'm going back to Pia's situation again. Now they have this beautiful home. They have this beautiful garden. They have two wonderful children. They have a great job. It's like, and I think they got some chickens or bees or both, and things they never could have had before. And it's just so amazing to see it. I remember it feels like not too long ago where she was like, I just want my own place. And here, boom, And this morning she was just telling me that God's really placed on their heart to pay off their mortgage early. And I'm like, I get it. I totally get it. And I think that's why I wanted to talk about this morning, because I see her and I see her story, and I realize how we were just like that and how different our life is now.
Well, yeah, it's definitely a reminder, and it's not like you're going to sit back and go, well, we're done.
Oh gosh, no.
Yeah.
No, you live and kicking.
Yeah.
You got work to do. Lots of work to do.
You're only in the beginning stages. That's the beginning.
But you can apply that to anything in your life. I think my biggest thing that he worked on me after getting me here and having me patient is when I thought, when we put our feet on this soil, that it was all going to explode wide open. And for a moment it has. When we first got here, it was crazy. It was nonstop. And then we filmed 4 TV shows, I don't know, multiple books, and it exploded. And then it came to a screeching halt. And it's done that. It's had those cycles over and over again in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
What's so funny?
Oh, no, I was just...
You thinking of something?
Oh, yeah, I'm thinking of something. And it's like when we moved here, it rained.
Oh, gosh, yeah. In more than one way.
I would get up, and I'm like, it's raining. Next day, I'd get up, it's raining. It would rain all day, all night. I'm like,
it tested your faith.
I can't work, but we had to work, so it was just an adjustment. And
how's that your plan?
Man, I stomped my feet, and I'm like,
why'd we come here? Why'd we come here?
Yeah.
I can't do this. And that's the thing too, is and when you have your own plans and they don't go accordingly, and you're walking in faith, you might not be doing his plan. You might try to be doing your own, so it's harder. His plans aren't easy, but they're dang sure better than anything that you can dream up yourself. But as far as the patience thing, and when I said it came to a screeching halt, and I've told this testimony, I don't know how many times, I don't think I've ever told Cody and Justin. And I might do that this morning because they sit behind us at church. God told me to be still. And I'm like, clearly you don't know me. I don't even know what that means. Like, legit. I don't think I've ever had a day off. Steve, good morning, brother. How are you?
Good morning, Steve.
Steve, Steve, I'm going to brag on you just a minute with your little superhero cape. Steve is rocking the micro homestead, y'all. If anybody wants inspiration about doing homesteading on a smaller piece of property, Steve is your man. He's got his chickens. He's got his meat rabbits. He's sitting here making herbal medicine all the time. He's a law enforcement officer. He volunteers all the time. He's just a pillar in his community and a great friend and very knowledgeable. Loves to share his information. And Steve, we just adore you. We just appreciate your friendship so much. And his wife, Mary Lou, is the reason why he's so amazing. She's pretty awesome. But anyhow, I just love that we have a great community.
Yeah,
that's pretty much.
It takes that.
It does. It takes a whole village. He's like stuck.
Are you blushing?
I love him, and I hope this is one day. I mean, I don't know what the Lord has planned, but I would love for us all to get together. Like Pia's in Denmark, but you never know. And Steve and Scott and all the guys, Sam, and just have everybody together and just fellowship. Finally hug in real life and just have the community that we've been building for the last decade. But anyhow, God told me to be still. And I'm like, nope, that's not good enough. I don't know what that means. So I went and did my own thing, and I was miserable. And then I stopped and did my own thing again, and I was miserable. God's like, would you stop it? And then COVID hit, and I didn't have a choice but to be still.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that has been teaching me patience. And now I'm finally okay with being still a little bit. I never have a moment where I'm not doing something. Neither does Timmy. Well, Timmy he probably would like it a lot more of me. But if I see him sitting and being still, I'm like, don't you got stuff to do? Isn't there a list over there on a poster board that's like a mile long?
Yeah, there's a list.
I'm not lying about that. It's a really long list. Yeah. And but I'm talking about being still and major plans moving forward with the things I have in my life. Like, I'm not opening an Airbnb. I'm not going out and starting another coffee shop. Things that normal Amber would do. I'm being still and waiting for his plan. And so far, so good. We've been blessed because I've been, without seeking, I've had work come to me that allows me to be home.
Yeah.
Which I love.
That's a biggie.
It's huge.
Because if she had to leave the house for work, or say I had to leave the house for work, which I'd probably never find my way to work, but
he doesn't drive, y'all.
I drive up and down the mountain. That's about it.
Yeah, he doesn't drive here.
2-wheel drive going down, 4-wheel drive coming up.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, the road. But none of this, if either of those key scenarios, this homestead would not function the way that it does. There's no way that I could do in my physical condition everything that Timmy does. And there's no way that he could do, if I left, what I do and still do everything he does. It just wouldn't. I'm talking about all the other stuff. I do more than just this. I feel like if I left. Because when I was working away off the homestead, you were miserable. You said, I can't do this alone.
Oh, yeah. It was, it was lonely for one thing.
You had Lyndon.
Yeah, I mean, I had Lyndon, but I mean, it's still.
Nobody's talking to
the house is empty. There's no.
Me.
She's not here. I mean, I'm like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do?
I mean, I do more than talk and entertain.
I know, but I mean,
cook
your
and clean and plan and prep.
Yeah,
anyhow.
Your presence is peace. Having you here.
Y'all heard it. Oh, I know, Lyndon. You should say this kind of stuff to me.
I just said it.
Aww.
Y'all were my witnessing.
But planning your homestead, and then back into the planning and patience thing. When Pia was saying God put on her heart to pay it off, that's another thing. I see people, and myself kind of included in that, going crazy in debt to doing this. And that's not the point. You shouldn't go in debt to homestead. It should be the other way around. Homesteading should replace the money that you're spending elsewhere. It should, theoretically.
Well, if nothing else, it should supplement some of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we can't all just stay home and
No, the world
work,
needs workers. I mean, it needs people that's the whole thing. We're always trying to sell this idea of, make a living off your homestead full time. If that happened, if everybody was like that, we'd be in a pickle, because there'd be nobody out working the services that we all rely on. There'd be nobody at the restaurants, there'd be nobody in the food industry, working and packaging stuff and shipping it all over. There'd be nobody at the doctor's offices. We need the laborers, away from the homestead. But
Amazon Prime is still being business.
But my point, I don't even know what my point is. Yeah, homesteading, it started going in debt. And when P was saying, and I understand, getting a mortgage, who can save what, $100,000-$200,000 cash? I'm not trying to apply this to mortgage or getting your farm. However, all the other stuff, because we're an instant gratification society, we're not. I've been watching a lot of these self-help gurus, these money people. When I after my knee surgery, and I was in bed constantly with my phone, which is a dangerous combination.
I mean, people like Dave Ramsey.
Yeah, Dave Ramsey. I know. And that guy who wrote the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I can't remember his name, Richard something or other. But anyhow, and they were talking about getting out of debt. And debt for me, and I've shared this before, debt for me is a sin. Because I dwell on it. I focus on it. I don't have my sights on where they should be. It eats me alive. And that's all I think about. It's not for others. But I will say this, that not having debt is freeing. There's nothing over me. No one can control me. I'm my own person, and my thoughts are my own. And I can only imagine that other people feel the same way as I do. I can't be alone in this thought process. About not wanting debt?
Oh,
are you not listening?
I mean, some people live to be in debt. I mean, they get a credit card and they use it and they pay it off, pay a little bit off.
But it's easy. I mean, society, they push it at you. I can't even believe how many credit card applications we keep getting.
I get
all
them.
The time. All the time.
And I'm the last person in the world that has credit now. I mean, I'm done.
He doesn't have bad credit, y'all. He just has zero credit.
I don't have any credit.
He doesn't exist.
Yeah.
But the thing is that delayed gratification by saving and not going in debt is so much better than, I can qualify. I'll just go in debt and get it because I can have it now. And that's that trickery mindset that slowly enslaves you. And it's so easy to do on the homestead because you need so many working parts, expensive working parts, to make this happen. Like we've been looking at a backhoe. What are you nodding me for?
Backhoe. No. I'm just, anyway. The.
Are you trying to make funny?
No,
that was really horrible.
No.
I thought so, Lyndon. Go ahead. You and your backhoe.
Amber's been looking around for backhoes and stuff like that, but I mean, if we have the means of being able to make, do things with, what we have, we do it. But as far as going in debt for something like that, you really have to.
And they make it tempting too, because somebody at our church is like, he goes, Kubota's got 0% financing right now, like 0, and I'm like, we can get one. We can go ahead and get a backhoe with 0% financing.
See how easy she gets sucked in?
Because we need it. Like really bad. Like you guys don't even know. I mean, Well, maybe you do. Maybe you have something in your life that you really need that's got a huge price tag that will make your life. It'll be the game changer, is what we say.
Well,
Game changers.
yeah.
Because we're renting one coming up. We're having to save for it. We've been saving for a while, trying to save anyways. Every time we get a savings, we keep spending it. For in September, and it's like $800 for just a couple days. And so I'm sitting here going, well, we buy one for 15,000 or more. That's like having it 2 weeks if you rented it. Yeah, I'm trying to. But it's that thing too. It's that instant gratification. It is the God bless you planning and preparing and saving. I heard one of those guys said, if you're not willing to work hard to save for something, then you don't want it bad enough. What? No?
Nothing. I'm just...
Are you going back to the backhoe thing?
Oh no, I'm the backhoe. I'm right now.
How do you feel about that statement, though?
Ever since we moved to Tennessee, it's been me and Gavin and a shovel and a pick, and I've never used a pick before, and we never lived in a place to use a pick, but
we had sand. No, you have rock.
Yeah, you first thing you do is you buy a pick, and you buy about 4 shovels because you're going to break the first 2. And then by that time you learn how to use a shovel and not break the other 2. So.
Now they say if you quit moving, that's when you start getting old. I mean,
yeah,
you need to keep working. We didn't come here to retire.
Yeah, but I've been the backhoe ever since we moved here.
Well, you've got some work to do then.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think about that statement I said? If you're not willing to work and save for something, then you really don't want it bad enough.
That's right. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. And sometimes when you get out there and you start working and you realize how hard it was to make that money, and you realize at the end it's like, I really don't want to spend it on that. So hopefully that something clicks in your brain.
Kind of like freezing your credit card.
Yeah, it's like I really don't need that. I could use this money needs to go towards something else, or
But there's always a way.
More important.
There's always a way to make the money. You just need patience. And I do see the younger generation, because there's such a generational gap between our ancestors that worked crazy hard for something versus the credit card nation that we have, where if you're young, and I mean, they instantly start getting credit cards before college or right out of high school. And it was everything's on credit. Your college education is credit. Here's another credit card. Here's another credit card. They've conditioned them to accept things based on merit or credit versus hard work and labor. So they don't understand it as much as the older generation, like the baby boomers. And therefore they don't understand that delayed gratification, and it's painful to them, or they just give up. They're like, well, I don't need it. I got to work that hard for it. And I'm not saying all of them, but I'm saying a lot of them. And so then they want it right now. And if they don't get it right now, they're very frustrated. And we've been studying when Moses took all the Israelites out of Egypt, and how long it took for them to get to their land. Was it 40 years?
It was a long time.
And can you imagine? It's like you leave your home, you're promised beautiful lands with milk and honey flowing, and you've got to wait 40 more years. I hope I'm right on saying that. I can't. I'm horrible with remembering stuff exactly. That's why I could never. Well, God's not going to call me to preach anyhow, but not a congregation. Well, but yeah. I could never remember scripture and stuff.
It was a long journey of building faith. I will say that.
Definitely building faith, and he had to do it over and over again, showing them how he was taking care of them, and showing them how he was going to provide for them, and the water and the food, over and over again. And the people still doubted, and it takes that long faith and patience. And I think the younger generation today, they're just so instant gratification, and it's not their fault. We've programmed them that way, that if they want it, and they want it now.
Yeah.
And things just don't work like that.
Yeah. Especially when you can go online and find something
Nope.
and then order it,
Talk
pay
about
for it,
Amazon Prime
and get it sent. And I mean, it's there in a few days.
Here's Lyndon. Lyndon ordered something, 3 days ago on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
And I said, well, honey, it might not get here. She said, well, what about the 2 days? I said, well, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Like the next day I saw, oh, guess what? It's going to be here Saturday by 10 o'clock. And so anyways, that was yesterday. And it wasn't here when we got home. We got stuck in a storm. And then it wasn't here again. She goes, Mom, you need to call the manager. So, of Amazon? They said it was going to be here by 10, and it's not. So, oh, by the way, Lyndon, it still hasn't shipped, just so you know.
It is another way that we are getting programmed for instant
gratification. Yeah.
I mean, it's like.
But I will say this, homesteading definitely teaches patience. Because, for instance, I mean, anybody who's ever planted a seed, any type of seed, how long it takes to grow and wait and nurture it before you can harvest. And then once you harvest it, you got to either cure it or store it and then cook it. And sometimes you can wait all that time and then a stupid bug gets infested in it, like with your vine borers and stuff. And you don't even get to reap the rewards of all your hard work. And talk about disappointment.
Well, yeah. I mean, you plant a garden. That kind of sets your path and your mindset of how long it takes for something to start growing. And
we've had that though, especially with squash.
But, oh my goodness. Yeah, once you learn that and you know how long it takes, if you can just stay with it,
you got to be patient.
It will, you'll get it.
Sometimes the mold spores come in. Sometimes a critter comes in. Sometimes infestation comes in, and it destroys everything that you worked so hard for.
And then next year you try something different, and then you're like, well, we'll see what happens next year.
Or you're glutton for punishment, and you do the same one over and over again with little success. I remember when we moved here, we had been up here. I think it was the first summer we were up top. So it was 2019, 2020? 2019. And Mom came here for a visit, and we went and spent like $400 or more on starts and all of these herbs. We might have gotten $20 worth of produce back out of it. We had a drought that summer. We didn't have no water up here. And I wasn't going to take our drinking water for us and the animals and put it on the garden.
Yeah.
Talk about disappointing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, everything we've pretty much ever grown down in the holler. It's been different beautiful. Climate, different soil. Everything grows really good.
That's all too about proper planning, being patient, being resilient. If at first you don't succeed, try again. It's definitely it tests your faith of all different levels. It tests your faith. Am I doing the right thing? Can I do this? Should I give up? A lot of people like to give up because it's tough. It's hard. There's not always success. And you can apply that when I said if anybody's ever planted a seed, I'm not just talking about the kind in the ground that grow food. I'm talking about planting seeds of faith in people and waiting and watching for them to grow. I mean, I've heard stories recently in church, and I don't know if you all go to church, you might be seeing this too. There's a lot going on right now. And they said, my son, my nephew, my neighbor, my so-and-so, I've been witnessing to for years, and they finally gave their life to the Lord. And you might plant a seed, and God takes you on a different path, and you walk away from that person and run into him 2 decades later, and somebody else came along, started watering that seed for you, and someone else went along after them and watered that seed, and then you see it a couple decades later, and they're like, hey, I gave my life to the Lord. Remember when you shared God with me? Same thing.
And God goes, finally.
Yeah, no. But we're not always meant to see the fruits of our labor sometimes. We're just supposed to be obedient and keep on doing it and planning and staying on his path and being okay if they don't happen on our timeline. I think that's the biggest one.
Yeah.
Happening. Like I remember when we first moved here, you said this land, God didn't give this land just for us. There's bigger and better things. Now we might not live to see that day, of all this land can be. I hope we can. I pray we can. But we need to stay focused and not do our own thing and deviate from his plan. I think we've done that several times since we've been here. I know I have.
Yeah, it's easy to do.
Because you get your own plans wrapped up in your head.
And I mean, we're human, and that's all a part of, making decisions, the right decisions, and, listening to God.
Being obedient.
Yeah.
Speaking of, you hear Kathy says, wait, hang on. I love hearing your rooster. Kathy, you want them? We got a couple.
Yeah, we've got about 50.
Actually, I will say this, that about the roosters, because someone had messaged me, a random rooster came up to their property. We have too many. 4 little hens. Now we've got some new hens that are ready to, they're not too far away from getting introduced to their future husbands. But because of our predator load here, I'm very thankful for the amount of roosters that we have because they do their job. They protect their flock until death. And, so they do their job. Yeah. And it's nice to have. If we would have had the exact ratio that we needed, we would have had roosters a long time ago.
Yeah.
It's like the sacrificial.
Yeah, and they're part of the crew and
part of the crew.
They are. They're the livestock guardians.
They are. And we're thankful for them. And honestly, I don't even hear them anymore. I mean, I do when we're filming something like this or, doing the commercial that we were doing. Because every time I went to talk, that rooster was like,
yeah, I like watching them. They're a little aggravating at times, but especially when they're sitting right on the handrail. Like that one there.
Where's he at?
Crowing.
He's just outside of the deck. Kathy says being a farmer, I can't see. It's so frustrating when you plant something in the, then you got to protect it from the wind and the hail and everything. She can't imagine being a farmer. I can't either, Kathy. It's hard enough having my family depend on my efforts for eating, and we don't even rely on our garden for providing for all of our food. If others depended on us for eating, like
the
neighborhood, the pressure and the pressure and anxiety over that, the rain and everything. I mean, farmers are praying people, that's for sure. They are praying people, and Lord, please help it rain. Lord, please help. And not that I'm not, but that would be a lot of stress. I think it would suck the joy right out of gardening for me.
It's hard growing a garden up on top of a mountain too. I tell you.
Without water?
Well, we can't even keep the dirt on the ground up here sometimes. When the wind blows, I mean, this place is like, you just go in the house and close the doors and just wait.
I will say this, though, as far as smaller homesteads, not on a massive scale, diversifying is going to be our friend in the future. And what I mean is, like, you need to be able to master, for lack of a better word, different growing techniques, whether that be microgreens inside, mushrooms and grow bags in the closet or a garage, raised beds that have the hoop houses, greenhouse in the ground, vertical gardens, tower gardens, potted plants. Diversifying the ways that we grow food is going to be essential in the future. And for many, many reasons that we can't even get into today. But if you were only doing one method, I always like to say I like to have lots of eggs and lots of baskets. If you're only into one method and that method fails, then you're panicked, you're struggling, you're in that fear, and then your whole crop is gone. But if you have just like making an income, if you only have one job and one income and then you get laid off, you're panicked, you live in fear, you're in trouble. But if you're bringing income streams in from many different areas and one fails, you kind of still have that cushion. Same thing with growing food. So maybe we'll talk about that next week, all the different ways that we've grown food, things that work for us, and how we can diversify.
I'll tell you one way to diversify.
Thank everyone. Thanks, Kathy.
Your vegetable scraps and seeds and stuff like that, if you'll throw them in one area, and the volunteers that grow out of that stuff, they are amazing. We grew a watermelon out in the front yard.
Oh, gosh, that was great. That was the best watermelon ever.
It was. That just goes to show you right there, the things that you really don't plan to plant.
Our compost pile back in South Carolina was the best garden we ever had.
Yeah.
Our backyard was full. Kathy, I don't know if you remember that or not. But we had a compost pile back there, and we had chickens, and they scratched in there. But Lord be, we had everything growing, all the tomatoes, squash, cucumber. I mean, everything was growing all over from that compost pile, and it was the most nutrient dense soil back there.
Yeah.
Because it was our compost. But anyhow, we've got to get going, y'all. We're doing Bible study now on Sunday mornings before they put like dish soap all over it going down this hill, and it's going to be so much fun.
Yeah, I'm probably about 30 miles an hour. Probably.
The kids are glad. But as far as homestead stuff this week, I'm kind of excited. Gavin, it turned 29, and I know we gotta let you go, but Gavin turned 29, and for his birthday, we're he's providing labor. They're gonna finish the walls on the inside of their living room. We got him a Home Depot gift card for that, for the siding. It's not like the mill lumber. And you said you're going to start our front porch.
Yes. A porch.
Yes. That was good times.
Those of you who know, we've always had a porch.
It's the best. It was the best memories of that life that I have. But our front porch is serving multiple purposes. It's going to be a massive square footage area for collecting all of our water. And we do have rainwater collection system. We will be installing a bigger cistern here and filtering that rainwater. That's what we use for predominantly all of our water needs for the animals, washing clothes, rinsing stuff off, all that kind of stuff. And our solar is going to go on top of it. So we can finally get the solar off the ground and have that area for garden space, because we don't have that area here, and our solar's on it. So I'm really excited about our front porch. Are you not?
Those are my words anyway.
Oh, he's excited.
I'm really excited.
Oh yeah. About the smokehouse. That's a long time. But anyhow, so that's what's going on this week. And then firewood. Yeah, we don't even want to talk about that right now. We'll talk about that later. All right. Y'all have a blessed day.
Thanks for putting up with us.
Bye.